You're listening to the #1 rated racing show on 1320 KFan, the sports leader.
Another day at the office. Got these jobs there. I'll do mine out here. We'll be in great shape. Have a shot at winning this thing at the end of the night. Thanks for everything, boys.
We didn't have anything to lose. I mean, where we're at in the chase right now, I mean, we had to press, and you know, I was glad I saved as much as I did, but you know, I had a good enough car to get us there, and you know, Darian and his calls and the car that they gave me gave us the opportunity to get to the lead where we were able to do that.
There he is, Tony Stewart, talking about nothing to lose for that team. They got a win, first win in a while for Tony Stewart. And what a great time for it to come. I mean, let's be honest. If it's going to come, now is the best time to have it come at the beginning of the chase, Chicagoland Speedway.
Yeah, and if anybody questions whether or not Tony Stewart does not have the passion to win, watch that race.
I think
Tony
Stewart, after listening to him in his interviews and reading some articles this week, has decided that he's going to be a different Tony Stewart than he has been in months previous. He admitted that he was very reserved compared to a way that a lot of the drivers are out there. And as far as aggressiveness goes, and he said in his interviews and everything that all gloves are off now. When I believe it was Dale Jarrett. Yeah, Dale Jarrett came to him with one lap to go before a restart. And Tony Stewart just basically said, yeah, I'm driving with a bunch of idiots today. If that's the way they're going to race me, that's the way I'm going to race them. They take the green flag. He just charges his way on the outside. He takes the lead, got on his radio and said, see, told you I wasn't kidding. Good.
And I was like, right on, Tony.
Good for him.
Right
what is
on,
he
Tony.
Waiting for?
You know, yes. I got a bail.
Thanks.
Come on out to RMR. I just want to let you know, of course, everybody that's listening right now, you do realize that I picked Stewart. Okay, I'm just saying. and just so that I don't get stuck with Derek Hopeless Copeless.
Andy Lally?
Well, that was your pick.
Whoa. Now, wait 1 second. Your pick won last week. That means you pick last, dude.
That
means
all
you
right,
pick last,
see you,
dude.
bye.
You've got two choices. You can call us at 10.
Yep.
That doesn't
10:50 or
that does not work.
We'll pick
Gentlemen,
okay.
See you at the races.
See you.
Hold that thought. Before we go and talk further about this, I want to bring on John Hill with 801 Racing. John, good morning. How are you this morning?
Great. I'm at the Denver airport right now, so hopefully you don't get too much background noise.
Hey, John, we've got a really awesome thing, and it's exploded, of these giveaways that we're doing weekly. We're giving away, of course, tickets to NHRA drag racing the last couple of weeks, but this week we got a whole different animal, a whole different promotion that we're doing, 801 Racing and 1320 KFan teaming up to give away to our fans. Tell us about what we're giving away this week.
Yeah, we just decided to up the ante a little bit, and so what we're going to do is give away 2 round-trip flights from anywhere in the U.S. To the Nationals in Vegas over Halloween weekend, and then we're giving away a little spending cash, $250, which is the perfect amount of money if you want to buy 2 weekend passes to the races. So we're just kind of letting the person who wins decide what they want to do with the money, but obviously we hope that they come and join us at the races because it's going to be a good time.
You know, the other thing is we have some tickets to the $1 Million race, Supercross that we're going to give away, and also the $1 Million IndyCar race as well that we're going to be giving away with the Truck Series. And they're going to be pretty good tickets. I've talked to both parties, and Felds is putting up the tickets. Of course, Las Vegas Motor Speedway, Jeff Motley's putting up the tickets for the event down there for our listeners. But I'm excited about giving tickets away to our fans and upping the ante this week with the dollars involved and the flights. That's huge. We have a lot of listeners that listen on the internet and outside of the Salt Lake Valley, and so really a hats off to you there, John, for stepping up with that.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a lot of fun. I think we should give those tickets away this week to those who have entered the contest. So I think that's a great idea, and we're looking forward to whoever the winners are, and hopefully they'll come and join us. We'll be there at the races at the Fall Nationals. So we hope you come out and join us.
Let me ask you a question. If I go on and like the page and click on the link and do what I need to do to win these, which costs you nothing, and I win and I can't go, can I give it to one of my friends? Let's say I go and get all my friends to sign up for this thing.
Absolutely. The winner can decide what they want to do with the tickets, and that would be probably the greatest gift you could give someone this year. So absolutely. You can do whatever you want with the tickets once you win them, and if you can't go for any reason, give them away to someone you really like.
Very nice,
They
John.
will appreciate it.
Very nice. Folks, go to gofastwin.com, gofastwin.com, and on the main page you'll see where it says Enter to Win. Click on that. It'll take you right to where you need to go to sign up, and you're entered. And it's a random drawing. You do it once a week and post the winners right on the webpage there. So go sign up now. John, thanks for coming on the show, and we'll hopefully we'll win a trip.
Thanks for having me. It's always a pleasure.
All right, thanks. There he is, John with 801 Racing. I'd like to win that trip.
Yeah, I think it'd be pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You ought to go sign up, Russell.
Already have.
Oh, very nice.
Yeah.
Way to go.
Yeah.
Way to be. All right, back to NASCAR. Tony Stewart getting the win, beating out Kevin Harvick, who finished second. Dale Earnhardt Jr. was third. Carl Edwards was fourth, and Brad Keselowski rounded out the top five. I thought it was a good race course. Fuel economy played a part. We saw the 48, Jimmy Johnson, run out of fuel.
Yeah.
Of course, Kyle Busch ran out of fuel.
And I mean, first off, rain hampered this race on Sunday, and NASCAR did all they could to try to get this race in sometime on Sunday night. Unfortunately, that did not happen. So that meant this 400-mile race was going to be ran on Monday. And yeah, you know, we've talked about it time and time again. We hate fuel mileage races, but unfortunately, that's just the nature of the sport sometimes. And we saw that, and you know, Tony Stewart said the number 29, referring to Kevin Harvick, kept us honest right there at the very end. He saved fuel at the beginning of his runs, so at the end he was able to come up through the field really quick. We definitely were keeping an eye on him. So yeah, this day, number one, was about putting yourself in a position to win, but also conserving enough fuel so you can make it to the end of this race. Because, I mean, ultimately, Shane, as you know, it's all about the championship. And I think if you're a Kevin Harvick or somebody of that nature, you know, Harvick was strong. That 29 car was strong. And so was Tony Stewart. But they had to be able to conserve fuel. They did so. Very solid run for Dale Earnhardt Jr. and that 88 team, coming home with a very solid third-place effort. And then, you know, Brad Keselowski finishing in fifth.
Yeah, very
good
run.
That two-car just continues to run well week in and week out. I mean, you know, and it's like we've documented before here on 1320K Fan. It's like somebody just flipped a switch and the two-car just figured it out. That team just figured it out. And they have literally just been on rails for this latter part of the season and heading into the chase. I'm telling you, folks, watch out for that Miller Lite team because they're going to be tough to beat.
Let's go to the phone lines. What does this guy want?
You know what I want?
What's that?
I'm going to keep up. Well, you're not going to pick me some frickin'.
Oh, hang up on him. Okay, anyway.
I just did.
Yeah,
I hung up
yeah,
on him.
yeah.
You know, I haven't got time for guys like that.
Yeah. You know, Steve, we don't make our picks till the end of the show.
That's
so.
right. He doesn't. You know, he's really astute about this
yeah,
too.
Right. Well, that's okay. Keep it up because I've got a pick for him. So
I think he should predict that I get a girlfriend this weekend. That'd be a great prediction. If he's got such a streak going, give me something.
Okay.
There you go. The wealth around.
You know, Austin, we probably could do that. We could take some calls now. If you want to go out with Austin,
there we go.
Our producer, give us a call at 483-1320, 470-1320, 670-1320. I'm sure we can hook you up.
If you like the way
Win
Vin
a date
Diesel
with Austin.
looks, don't call.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's good.
But if you like the way Kermit the Frog looks, you might have a better.
Yeah.
All right, two-time Sprint Cup champion was beyond angry midway through the Chase opener, saying, "Drivers around me are driving like idiots, and I'm fed up with it. No more Mr. Nice Guy." That's what Stewart was saying.
Yeah.
Does he have the right to call drivers around him idiots?
He's a two-time champion, I think.
Does that give him the right? I mean, seriously, if a guy wants to go and race hard to win, why is he an idiot?
Well, there's a difference between racing hard to win and racing like an idiot.
Well, and maybe he should explain that. What is the difference?
Well, I mean, if a guy's trying to wreck you, what do you think?
Well, of course, but who was he talking about? Who was trying to wreck him?
Well,
who was purposely trying to wreck him?
Anybody who was around him, apparently.
Of course. It always seems to be that way. The thing of it is, Stewart always goes on these soapboxes every so often. He really does. He gets on these rants. He goes in. He calls the media idiots. He gets on these soapboxes a lot. And I don't know what he's expecting. Is he expecting for these guys to flip their signals on and move over for him so he can
I'm
fly
confused. Just 1 week ago, you're sitting there slamming on him, saying, "Oh, he's more conservative now," and you don't really hear much from him. And now you're saying he gets on these soapboxes all the time.
He does get
What
on
do you
the
mean all the
soapboxes.
time? Stewart, I think, has been so quiet this year. I've often wondered, is he even still in the series any longer?
But what I mean is,
what are you talking about?
He gets on these soapboxes every so often. Like, we don't hear from him, and then all of a sudden he's on a soapbox. And then we don't hear from him, then all of a sudden he's back on his soapbox.
Tell me, what race car driver doesn't complain about that? Kyle Busch, for example? I've heard Jeff Gordon. I heard Dale Earnhardt say the same stuff. What race car driver does not say things like that?
No more Mr. Nice Guy is what he says.
That's right.
Was he being nice guy all season long?
Like I said, I didn't really hear much from him this year.
Thank you, Shane. Tony Stewart admitted that he was being a wuss all season, just like we've been saying all season.
He's back.
Yeah,
What do you
suddenly.
want? I thought you were going to go drag race.
I'm on my way. I can't help myself.
All right.
This conference. I knew what Russ was going to say about Tony Stewart. How he's, if you've doubted that he lost, I never doubted that he lost the drive. I think Dale Earnhardt Jr. still has the drive. He wants to win, just like Stewart wants to win. But Tony Stewart's been a different guy all season, and now it's somebody pissed him off and he's back. I'd say look out to the rest of the field.
Yeah, I would agree. I mean, when Stewart is like this, he's a different driver.
Yeah, and he's at his
And
best.
that's what I've been talking about. That's what I said last week. We haven't seen this in him. I'm not saying I don't like it. I'm just saying we haven't seen it in him.
Now, last week you were questioning his passion of winning races, comparing it to Kyle Busch.
Yes, I still was.
Well, Tony Stewart admitted that he hasn't had the passion when he made
That's not what he said. That's not what he said. That's not what he said.
No, in so many words.
That's
Russell.
not what he said.
That is what he said.
Stewart,
not word for word, but that's
Stewart
what he said.
has been he has not been the same aggressive driver that we have seen him, that we know that he's capable of. He has been very very passive. He's been very lackadaisical. Whatever you want to call it. He hasn't been the same aggressive driver that we have seen him in years past.
Because when he does start becoming that way, then he starts getting comments like you made earlier that he gets on these soapboxes and everybody's an idiot.
Whatever.
He said it. We didn't say
it. I'm just saying, because you're saying one thing, and then when he comes back to that type of a driver, well, now you're hammering because he's getting on this soapbox. Well, what do you want from him?
No,
Make up your mind.
I'm not saying Stewart has to tell me that he's going to be aggressive. I'm saying go out and show me you're going to be aggressive.
Which is what he did.
No, I don't need him to come on and rant and light up everybody and call them idiots in the media center and call the drivers idiots. I don't need him to do that. I don't need him to do anything, but I want him to go out there and race the car and drive it like I know he's capable of doing every single week.
Of course, 2-time champion.
That's right. And when he was a 2-time champion, he was a different driver than what we saw before last week.
Same with Jeff Gordon.
I agree.
Agreed.
I agree. If we can put some fire back in those bellies, we're going to see a whole different racing out on that track. That's what we've been talking about for a long time with Earnhardt Jr. Now, Earnhardt Jr. is turned it on a little bit more this year.
He's turned it on a lot more this year.
He's turned it on a lot more this year, like you said, Steve.
He truly has. I mean, granted, there's a lot of cars ahead of him that ran out of gas, but, he was in a position to come in third last week. I mean, that's an awful good start for him into the chase.
It's good to see Stewart back in victory lane. It really is. The NASCAR needs somebody other than Busch winning or Johnson. It's good to see Stewart back in there. It really is. I like Stewart. He's a good guy. I know he's a good guy. He's like you and I. He wears his emotions on his sleeve, and that's how he shares it. But to call them idiots, an idiot because I'm going to go out there and aggressively drive my car as fast as I can to get a win? I don't think I'm an idiot. I think that's what I'm being paid to do.
So you don't think somebody was trying to wreck him then, is what you're saying?
Who?
No.
Who?
No.
You watched the race. Who was trying to wreck him? Who was trying to turn their will into him and wreck him?
Oh, I don't know. I mean, maybe they weren't being idiots. I don't know.
I don't think so.
I mean, maybe he was dead wrong about that.
I think he doesn't have his definition clear as to idiots versus aggressive race car driver.
I know. After all these years, he hasn't figured that out.
No.
He's the only he's the only driver in USAC history to ever win the Triple Crown in the same year.
He knows the difference.
Former IRL champion, 2-time Sprint Cup champion. He knows the difference.
He knows the difference.
The guy knows the difference. Come on.
But I don't think anybody was blatantly trying to take him out. If they were, shame on them.
Why would anybody...
Dude, racing's an emotional sport.
You bet it is.
I mean, come on now.
Why would they be trying to take him out, though? I mean,
I don't know that they were trying to take it. I don't know that anybody was trying to take him out, but obviously he saw something out there that made him feel the way he did. And I'll tell you what, it ignited him.
It did.
And that was it. The 14 car went to the front, and that was the next time we saw him was in victory lane. So,
well, good for them. Look, they lit the fuse. I hope they're happy.
Look, if people need to drive like idiots around them or morons or whatever word you want to use, and if that gets them to victory lane, hey, Tony Stewart fans, you got to be excited.
There you go.
Got to be excited.
Well, gentlemen, I've got a bell, and I can hardly wait to see who I pick.
Oh, boy.
Have a great day.
See you, man. Be safe.
This is like the second time he had the bell.
I know.
He'll be calling back.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, he will be.
I thought it was a good race. I am not in favor of the fuel economy. However, it does make it a little bit interesting.
Well, it does. And then, and I do think NASCAR has done a nice job with this new car, as far as with the engine package and tires and fuel cells and all that to try to avoid that at all costs. And I mean, really, Shane, when you break down this 2011 season, it hasn't been often that we have actually come down to a fuel mileage situation that actually determined who ended up winning this race, although I'm convinced that fuel mileage or not, I think Tony Stewart still would have won it.
NASCAR officials on Wednesday announced a pair of rule changes for Sprint Cup racing next month at Talladega Superspeedway. Folks, the size of the restrictor plate that teams will use to prepare and practice for the race will increase by 1/64,000th of an inch and is now going to be 57/64,000th inch in diameter. Now, this is probably a good thing. This will give them a 7 to 10 horsepower addition to what they're already running. In addition to these changes, they're also going to make a restriction in some way to their cooling systems so that they can't run bumper to bumper. Your thoughts?
Yeah, I figured eventually it was
bound to happen.
It's going to happen. They're going to try to break up this pack, and
I think it's interesting they're opening up the restrictor plates a little bit more. That's going to make the cars, I don't know if it'll make them miles per hour faster, but it's going to make it so that they can pass a little easier.
Right.
Should be interesting, though.
Well, and, I think this two-car breakaway that we've been seeing the last 2 seasons, I mean, personally, I think it's been kind of fun. But I think that this is going to cause, it's like what they're trying to do is they're trying to break these two-car tandems up. So now, do we get back into the one big bunch again? We'll wait and see.
I don't know. If you get in a big bunch, it depends on how tight you're bunched up.
Yeah.
You could have overheating problems.
Yeah.
It's going to be a lot of bunch up quick, back off, bunch up quick, back off, because they're going to be trying to keep those engines cool.
Yeah, and I mean, it's I don't know. I mean, drafting's always going to be there, and I mean NASCAR knows that.
But it puts another element into it, doesn't it? It makes it a little bit more interesting.
Oh yeah, I mean it does, and This is one aspect of the sport they've tried to become successful at, and as of yet, they have not. That may floor some people that even make that comment, but, when they had the old package on pre-2001, actually 1990 or 2000, it was the worst Daytona 500 I ever saw. In fact, Dale Earnhardt Sr. himself said they are destroying NASCAR Winston Cup racing with this type of racing that we see today. And then, of course, 01 changed a lot of that. Of course, a lot of stuff happened in 01 that changed a lot of things. And, 99, you go back over the years, and I mean, restrictor plate racing, they try to bunch them up, they try to break them up, and then you have a bunch of single file racing, then people are complaining because it's, there's not enough action, and then we have the two-car tandems, and now, we want to try to break them up. I don't know what the clear answer is. But I guess we'll find out how, I guess you don't know until you try it. So it's going to be interesting in October whenever the series travels to Talladega to see exactly how much is this going with these 2 changes. And trust me, there probably will be other changes forthcoming once the weekend gets underway. How much is that going to have an impact on that race?
This is something that NASCAR says the drivers really wanted. They wanted to have a change with the restrictor plate size, especially.
Yeah.
That's been something we've been hearing them talk about for a long time.
Look, you know what? You got to listen to your drivers.
You do.
They're the ones who, look, I know we as fans, we love to see the big bunches and, this and that, but we're not also sitting behind the wheel of that race car either. These are the guys who know. Those drivers, those teams, they know what it takes. And NASCAR, I applaud them that they're having an open mind about
and
this.
It's probably a part of it is a safety issue.
Absolutely.
I mean, let's face it, these guys are at more risk than I think fans give them credit for. These guys are really taking a risk how bunched up and tight they are at Talladega at pushing 200 miles per hour.
Safety has been a number one, should be, whether it's NASCAR, the IRL, Rocky Mountain Raceways, Miller Motorsports Park, doesn't matter. Safety should always be the number one priority. Car performance should be number 2. And I'm all for safety. And we've seen so much since the death of the 7-time champion Dale Earnhardt. We've seen so much change about this sport, and not just in NASCAR Sprint Cup Series stock car racing, but in all forms of motorsports. And so safety has got to be your top priority.
When we come back, we'll talk about some changes happening at Richard Childress Racing. Racing Fan, 1320K Fan, the sports leader.
Hey, this is Kurt Busch, driver of the number 22 Shell Pennzoil Dodge. And when I'm in the Salt Lake area, I listen to the Racing Fan.
Welcome back, 1320K Fan, the sports leader. Shane Beck here along with Russ Sala Jr. Little programming update. What do we got? We got NFL on tomorrow, right?
Yeah, that's right. We got the NFL tripleheader happening here tomorrow beginning at 8 a.m. for the NFL Insider. That'll be followed by the NFL Today show at 9 a.m. And then starting at 10:30 a.m., it'll be the pregame show for a battle of two NFC East rivals. The New York Giants travel to the city of brotherly love, but trust me, they won't be well loved there. Philadelphia, as they will take on Mike Vick and the Eagles. It's my assumption Mike Vick will be playing tomorrow. As
1320 K-Fan, your home for the NFL.
There we go. Yeah. So the Giants, Eagles coming up. That'll be the first game. Game number 2, you don't want to miss this one. The Green Bay Packers and the Chicago Bears, NFC North battle. And then, of course, Sunday Night Football, the Pittsburgh Steelers. Ben Roethlisberger, who they shut out my Seahawks 24-0 last week, taking on the Peyton Manningless Indianapolis Colts, the old man, Kerry Collins, who I think just turned 39 or 49 or something like that. And then, of course, coming up on Monday night, we have another NFC East battle happening between the Washington Redskins and the Dallas Cowboys. That's all happening here on 1320K. Boy, I'll tell you what, we got some great games happening in week 2. Great, or in
week 3.
In week 3. And in case anybody cares, the Seahawks are going to be
0-3.
They're going to be playing the Arizona Cardinals. That'll be their home opener at CenturyLink Field up in Seattle. So
and 0-3.
I honestly, seriously.
Sorry, I don't mean to be hating on them.
No. Seriously, I expected last week. I mean, I was not at all disappointed in what happened last week against the Steelers. I mean, they've got the youngest offensive line since the Carolina Panthers in like 1995, and they're still learning. They have Tavares Jackson at quarterback, and oh, by the way, this whole suck for luck crap, just throw that out the window. I'm so sick of hearing that. They're sucking to get Andrew Luck. Give me a break.
Yeah, as long as we're talking NFL, can I get on a 15-second soapbox
Sure.
here? The last I checked, Cam Newton's 0-2, right?
Yeah, he is.
He's not 2-0.
No,
right.
0-2.
Okay, just checking.
Oh, I know why. Because everybody's making a big deal about him, right?
They've got such a crush on Cam Newton. He
It's
throws the ball a mile,
man.
but you're 0-2. All right, I'm done.
Seriously, though, let me make this point. The Packers, that's a team to beat, and not just because they won the championship last year. Last year, they had how many of their good players hurt throughout the season? They still finished 10-6. This team is healthy right now. I see no reason. They are scary good. I see no reason why they can't go 13-3.
Very scary.
Come on, man.
Good.
This is the best team in the National Football League, and I'm not just saying that because they won the Super Bowl last year.
I don't think you're giving the Pats enough credit. The Patriots are the most underrated top team in the NFL.
Dude, they are the best team in the NFL.
Packers?
Who else? Yeah, the Packers. Who else?
Patriots look pretty good, man.
Look, I won't take anything away from. I won't take anything away from. Are you
just
kidding me?
walked in the studio.
Are you kidding me? Grizzly Adams.
Holy
Tony
cow.
Abbott.
Can you believe that?
Unbelievable.
He is in the house back from Alaska.
It's good to see
Look
you,
at
man.
that beard, man.
Good
Look
to
at
see
that
you.
beard. Unbelievable.
I was wondering why he had that look on his face.
I guess they don't have barber shops up in Alaska.
I guess the grizzly bear didn't get to you, huh?
We'll talk with Tony here in a little
That's
bit.
awesome, man.
Hey,
it's good to see you, Tony.
By the way, a little dirt racing happening in Utah up at Castledale up there in Price. It's the Castle Country Clash tonight. It happened last night as well as tonight. And our own champion out here, modified champion, Michael Hell, is competing up in that.
Oh, right on.
Finished 4th, I believe,
Is that
last
right?
night in the
Good.
main. Yeah. Won their heat, finished 4th in the main, and he always battles for that top spot. I was up there once and saw him win it. And there is a kid, I believe he's out of Arizona or New Mexico, I can't remember, but those two seem to really fight it out. And if you want to check out some dirt racing, that might be a place for you to go. We talked about the drag racing, the Night of Fire tonight, the jet cars out at Rocky Mountain Raceway. Let's go ahead and give away 4 tickets. If you want to go to that race, 4 tickets to the Night of Fire, 483-1320, 470-1320, or 670-1320. We'll hook you up with 4 tickets to the Night of Fire out at Rocky Mountain Raceway.
Should be fun.
Yes. All right, big changes in the world of NASCAR as far as Richard Childress Racing goes. Scott Miller, who has served as the director of competition since 2003 for Richard Childress Racing, whose driver happens to be Clint Boyer, Jeff Burton, Kevin Harvick, and Paul Menard. He has been the director of the camp there. After a short meeting and that on Tuesday, it is found that he is going to move on to greener pastures and head over to Michael Waltrip Racing. Ken Day will serve as the interim director of competition for Richard Childress Racing until a permanent replacement can be found. So big changes there. Now, this kind of makes me go, maybe Clint Boyer is going to go over to Michael Waltrip
there's
Racing.
been 2 possible destinations. Well, I'm going to say 3 possible destinations for Clint Boyer, of course, remaining at Richard Childress Racing. But as far as I know, these contract negotiations with him have not been serious, if at all. Michael Waltrip Racing and Joe Gibbs Racing. But, Shane, and I'm going to credit you with this because you called me earlier this week and said, look, I just really believe, Russ, that he's going to end up going to Michael Waltrip Racing. I had not heard of that news. And then when you told me about it, it made me go, well, wait a second now.
Yeah, this come out actually a couple days later, but I was reading into some things to where I think he might be going. And, of course, I like to follow the guys on their Twitters and stuff like that. But, I kind of got a gut feeling he was going to head over to, to Michael Waltrip Racing. And then with Scott Miller going over there, that kind of makes me go, yeah, this looks like it could happen a little bit more than I really thought.
I kind of liken it to a, and really the best way for me to describe this is take like an offensive coordinator who goes from one NFL team to another and brings 1 or 2 players along with him, or a coach. And there's a chance with Scott Miller heading over to Michael Waltrip Racing that might actually spell where Clint Boyer is going to end up next season. Really what I would have liked to have seen, and I don't want to take this on a different direction, Shane, but I've got to wonder, when you look at a guy like Joey Logano, he's still young. And I know there were people out there who were wondering, did Joe Gibbs bring him up too quickly? Of course, with Tony Stewart announcing that he was leaving to buy into Haas Motorsports, now, of course, Stewart-Haas Racing, I almost felt like it kind of left Joe Gibbs in a very kind of awkward situation. Well, we're going to have a ride for, we can put him in the Nationwide Series for a year. Anyway, that's old news.
He had to become an adult real fast.
Exactly.
Or a cup driver real quick.
Yeah, and you know what? He won. He went out there and he really started to kind of set a reputation for himself. He went after Kevin Harvick. What was that, last year when he made that infamous comment, that famous comment, I'll say, at Pocono, that, Delana Harvick wears the fire suit in the family. Proven to be aggressive. But how much longer, Shane, do you give Joey Logano? I mean, because when Carl Edwards was out there, there was a lot of rumors of him talking with Joe Gibbs Racing about a possibility of moving over there, but Gibbs at the same time saying we're not going to add a 4th team. My only thought is, well, you're not going to get rid of Kyle Busch or Denny Hamlin. These 2 guys are very successful, and these 2 guys are gunning for a championship. And week in and week out, for the most part, you see those cars up front. At least one guy, Joey Logano. Well, of course, Edwards announced that he grabbed a contract extension from Roush Fenway Racing. Well, now I start hearing Clint Boyer. So I'm thinking, could there be that possibility? And again, Gibbs already said we're not interested right now unless it's the perfect situation for us to start a 4th Cup team. How long do you give Joey Logano?
He better make a big push for Boyer now, because I think Boyer's on his way to Michael Waltrip Racing. But
I'm saying is that early on, I mean, yeah. I thought to myself, okay, I guess you kind of miss out on Carl Edwards, if you're Gibbs. Now there's Boyer.
Well, here's the thing. Carl Edwards was the hottest ticket going
absolutely.
for a free agent. He's
absolutely.
gone.
Yeah, right.
Boyer is probably the second best option, and I think he's gone too. Who's left?
Well, but what I'm saying is that early on, I kept thinking, at what point, I mean, because really, if
I think you got to be looking sooner than later.
If you're Joe Gibbs, the 20 car has not made the chase for the last, 2 or 3 seasons? You got to start looking at some things.
Yeah, I agree, and I think it's now. I think that they haven't thrown in the towel, but I do think that they are looking at their options. I mean, always they've got to be. I don't know what they've got coming up in their driver development programs, that can replace Logano, but until they have a clear-cut replacement that they know is going to, will that car, faster or quicker or be more competitive or whatever, he's not going anywhere until that happens. And there's another thing too, where you go, do I cut my ties with him and put this young gun in the car? If I'm going to be like this for the next 2 years or 3 years or whatever, if Logano's just not going to get it, maybe we cut our ties with him and we put a different young gun in the car.
Well, let me pose this question to you. If you're Joe Gibbs, how much longer do you give Logano before you go, okay, you know what, this just is not working? Do you give him another season?
I think I give him as long as my sponsor wants him. I hate to say it, but that's what drives.
Right. Well, okay,
team.
So speaking from a competitive, let's take the sponsor out of it for a moment. From a competitive standpoint, because if I'm a sponsor, and obviously today's sponsorship is so much different. It's all about glitz and glamour, and then the competition kind of comes second. And unfortunately, it's just, it never used to be that way. Guys like Logano never had this opportunity. Yeah. Nowadays, if you're young, if you're, a decent-looking guy, if you're, whatever the case may be, sponsors want you. Who cares how he runs? And I'm not saying sponsors don't care about that, because sure they do. I mean, look, if they're going to fork out $20 to $25 million, if not more, per season, hey, they want their car running up front too. But from a competitive standpoint, if you're Joe Gibbs, how much longer do you give him?
I don't think you can give him a whole lot longer. I don't think you give him any longer. I think you start making moves now. If I want to be competitive with Hendrick, and I want to be competitive with these other Roush and the other teams out there, you have to make a move now.
But who do you get?
That's the thing. I don't know.
Do you overpay for a Clint Boyer? This is not the NFL or Major League Baseball where you can just go out there and make a trade.
Right.
Even though that's not an easy thing either. And there's no guarantees. And there's oftentimes general managers are having to overpay for certain players. You hear the contract, are you kidding me? You paid this guy this much?
Winning is, I guess that's why I often ask the question or think about it sometimes, is how bad does Joe Gibbs want to win versus want to keep a sponsor happy? A lot of times I think these, the winning isn't the end all for these teams. And we're hearing it more and more with all these teams that sponsorships are few and far between.
Right.
It's hard to find them anymore. It's hard to pull the kind of dollars out of them that we need to survive. And so I often wondered, is Joe really want to, go and throw a lot of money at a guy and, do whatever he has to do to win right this second, right now, or is he happy if Home Depot's happy with Logano right now?
Yeah.
And I kind of think that he's probably on the latter part there of happy if Home Depot's happy, Joe Gibbs is happy until we can find somebody else.
Let me ask you this. With the fact, and we don't know how true this is, that they came out and said we're not interested in starting a fourth team unless, of course, it's the right situation, but yet they're carding Carl Edwards. And there's been rumors, there's been reports of them speaking with Clint Boyer, and again they're saying we're not starting a fourth team. Which car are you going to put him in? I mean, what message is that sending to Joey Logano?
That's saying, yeah, you're the one on the hot seat.
Joe Gibbs is a this.
He's a competitor. I know he is.
Look, I mean, this is somebody who's won Super Bowls.
Sure.
As a coach of the Washington Redskins, this is somebody who's done a lot in his career, and so I don't know. I think eventually. I think you give him one more year, and if it doesn't work, time to move on.
When we come back, we'll talk about the race this weekend as the guys they turn to a different track, and they'll be going into New Hampshire, a flat track, the Sylvania 300. We'll talk about that next, right here on 1320 KFan, the sports leader.
Hey, this is Kurt Busch, driver of the number 22 Shell Pennzoil Dodge. And when I'm in the Salt Lake area, I listen to the Racing Fan.
New Hampshire, we have to do well. That's been a great track for us over the years to just get a nice solid top 5. Well, in a chase, you want to win at tracks that you can get top 5s on, and then the tracks that you struggle on, just get those top 10s.
That's Kurt Busch. He says, we want to win this, baby. We want to go and go for the gusto. They better. I mean, isn't it chase time?
It is. Race number 2.
Race number 2.
Happening in the chase.
Of 10 for the chase. For the 2011 championship. Will it be the 48 of Jimmy Johnson to be the 6-time champion? Or can Stewart or one of these other guys knock him off? Right now, Stewart looks pretty tough.
Yeah.
He does.
Hey, you know what? We say this each and every week. Carry momentum into the next race. Tony Stewart has it, but Kevin Harvick is your current points leader. And I told you that was my pick. Before the Daytona 500 way back in February, I said Kevin Harvick is my pick to win the 2011 championship. 9 more races to go. This season's still far from over. We have a lot of racing left in 2011. But, you always watch that 48.
All right, we're going into Loudon now for New Hampshire Motor Speedway. What do you like about New Hampshire, Russ? What are some of the teams going to face at New Hampshire?
It's flat. It's a very, very flat racetrack, a lot different than what they had last weekend at Chicagoland Speedway. They call it the Magic Mile. It's 1 mile long around. It's a 300-lap, 300-mile race. And, passing there can be at a premium at times. But we've also seen some pretty good races at New Hampshire Motor Speedway in the past.
Ryan Newman won the last outing, started on the pole. Does this not look familiar?
Yeah,
He's back on the pole for this weekend.
Right, yeah.
And he won it from the pole at Loudon. They found something. They've got some serious something at New Hampshire.
I'll tell you what, seat time is so vitally important. I don't care how long you've been driving race cars for, because the day before, when they were there last time, he won a modified race. And his first career win, I believe, occurred at New Hampshire. I believe it was actually a rain shortened event, and if I remember right, I believe it was either there or Dover. I'd have to do my homework on that, but
the last 3 wins at New Hampshire, last 3 years, have all come from those who have qualified within the top 10.
Yeah, that's one thing about New Hampshire. They say, well, qualifying, it doesn't matter where you start, it's where you finish. New Hampshire is really kind of that's a much different racetrack whenever it comes to, you want to be able to qualify well, because typically, most of these guys who win races at New Hampshire generally start somewhere within the top 20.
All right, so making our picks for New Hampshire, Steve Schoenfeld has called back in. We told him he either had to call or we were going to pick for him, so he's called back in. Who are you going to pick, Steve?
No. Now, wait 1 second now. he picked Stewart last week, who won, so... And Harvick had a good finish, so Shane, you go ahead and...
Yeah, you pick Joey, who finished 22nd. So you go ahead.
Okay, I'll do it. I'll pick first. I'm gonna take Ryan Newman. I'm gonna take the man on the pole, the Rocket Man, Ryan Newman, to get the win on Sunday.
And I'm going to go out on a limb here, because I know Steve and Shane are too wussy to do so. I'm going to pick Dale Earnhardt Jr.
Boy, you really are going on the limb.
Tony Stewart wasn't going out on a limb, was he?
Junior qualifying 12th.
Really?
Who you picking, Schoenfeld?
I'm picking
Andy Lally.
Right.
Outstanding.
I'm not going out on a limb. I'm picking Jimmy Johnson.
Of course.
Jimmy Johnson, huh?
Hey, check out who's back. Check out who's back, Steve.
Yo, Schoenfeld, what, are you scared to meet me in the studio?
Oh, yeah, I'm terrified of you.
Kurt Busch this week, buddy.
Hey.
Wow.
I like that.
Look at you. Qualified 5th.
How you doing, Shoey?
Doing awesome. Just getting ready to hot rod and get her warmed up so I can go play race car driver.
Well, I tried to sneak in here early because you and me got a hunt in a few weeks, don't we?
Oh, we're going to go let the air out of a couple kilos.
Listen to that.
I'll call you later today on that, brother.
Awesome.
Right on. There you go.
All right. Thanks for the pick, Schoenfeld.
So Andy Lally for Steve Schoenfeld. Outstanding.
My pick, honestly, I knew if I said Jimmy Johnson that I'd catch hell from Russ. So my actual pick is Brad Keselowski. That blue
I'll tell you,
has been on it.
I like what he's done.
He's qualified 16th. You were better off with the first pick.
Let me check.
Did you not hear my stat? I just told you that the last 3 years nobody has won outside of the top 10.
Okay. Well, there's always a
But
first.
go back even further, yeah.
All right,
Brad Keselowski.
All right, Steve, we got to go. Bye. All right, we're done with him. All right,
Tony Abbott.
Tony,
Hello,
the man,
fellas.
back in town.
You know what? It was a 5 months. Can you believe
It's a
been
long
that
time.
long?
5 months.
But you guys were always good. I saw a few posts on Facebook. I got to catch you in a couple shows
That's right.
when I'd listen in before we went live up there on the island.
Yeah, like what time is it there right now?
It's just 2 hours earlier.
Right
So-
now,
so
and then
9 a.m.
and then once they fall forward, then it's actually
2
Yeah,
hours.
I think it stays.
I think it's 3
Yeah, they
hours or
don't-
something like that.
It's not like I don't think it's like Arizona. I think
They
it's
still
actually
stay on the same.
Yeah, I think
They're
they stay on
still
the
2
same,
hours
Russ.
earlier.
Oh, do they?
I think
Okay,
so.
all right.
I think so. But you know what was cool is hunting till 1:30 in the morning and
Hey,
hunting
man.
at 4 in the morning and
You're living the dream, aren't you?
you know what? I'm not as good as I once was.
No.
No, I'm pretty good once.
I've seen some stuff
what song is that?
I've seen some stuff you tackled up there and let some air out of and hooked and put in the boat, and I'm telling you,
Yeah.
It was a good.
So
Well,
you're
so
one bad
I'm
dude.
curious. I mean, I know you went up there. It's the off season for crab fishing, but did you happen to see any of those famous vessels from Deadliest Catch that usually
no,
dock up
but
there?
I actually was jig fishing for halibut and caught a king crab.
Really?
I saw
Facebook
your
profile.
king crab.
Yeah,
Yes.
that's right. That's right.
We catch a lot of dungeons. In fact, my guest today, you guys might know him, Adam Eagle.
Adam Eagle. Yes, we know Adam.
Adam actually spent a
house.
week with me.
Is that right?
At Pybus Point Lodge, and we're going to talk about it. And Adam's made a new change. He's now with Channel 5. Started last week, if I'm not mistaken.
Well, congratulations.
Yeah, I actually made the switch with you, Adam. Just so you know, I made the switch with you.
So Adam's going to join me for 2 hours, and it's going to be a nice show today, guys. I
Awesome.
got some news we're going to get out to the listeners today, and some things along those lines. But I'm glad I got to get in here and see you, fellas.
Yes.
I didn't see you guys in
Yeah.
a while, and I'm always a big fan of the racing fans.
Yes.
I didn't do too well with my picks, but Bush is going to get me first place this week.
All right. I think it's
not a bad pick,
I
man.
think it's
I
a
mean,
great
really.
pick.
Yeah, it's a
Absolutely.
great
Yeah.
pick.
Yeah.
So sweet, dude. Always good to see you.
We're very
fellas.
jealous of you up there, catching some great stuff, and it looked like you had a good time. I know it's work for you, but it's what a great job. Huh?
You know, I did have to shoot a bear with the pistol at about 10 paces.
Whoa.
That was pretty cool.
There's no fear in you, is there?
You know what? I'm not smart enough to be scared.
Not anymore. It all came out.
It came out.
No, listen, Austin. Adam will tell you, when that situation comes, you can't even react. You just have to act. You don't even have time to react. You have to make your mind up ahead of time. And I was going in the alders after a wounded bear, and I knew what was going on. And all of a sudden, the alder tree started crashing, coming at me downhill. He cleared. I shot, and that was that. And you don't have time
How big
to
was
think
he?
about it. Oh, about a 6.5 foot, 250 pounder. So a black bear. Nice black bear.
Hey, real quick before we leave, we mentioned that Harvick sold his truck team.
Yeah,
and we didn't really talk about that. You have some details on that?
Well, I mean, this is something that was actually announced before Richmond, that he had actually sold the team, also merged the rest of
I don't think they
KHI
officially
with.
announced it till Wednesday, but maybe they did.
Actually, you may be correct on the truck part of it.
Yeah,
but
the
the
truck
KHI part of it actually merged with Richard Childress as of next season. So yeah. So he's kind of.
Do you know who he sold it to?
I don't. To be honest with you, well, I'll tell you, that's bad
Russell,
radio.
What good are you?
I know.
All right.
Hey, now wait a
Anyway.
minute, Austin. Wait, Austin's in our ear saying we got to go. Hey, no, it's my time.
Is it your time?
If they want to stay.
Right now, it's the advertiser's
Oh,
time.
whoa.
There we go. He's pulling that card.
All right, very good.
Go Seahawks.
We'll do the Racing Fan next week from 9 to 11. See you then. From Russ Sala Jr., Steve Schoenfeld, Austin behind the glass. Great job. Myself, Shane Beck. Have a good weekend. The Racing Fan, 1320 K Fan, the sports leader.